All right, guys, welcome back.
Yes, yes.
YL.
What up, though?
We got a special episode today, man. Shout out to Detroit. Always showed us a lot of love every time we go to Detroit. So, Detroit versus Everybody is a brand that started to see probably like a couple years ago and kind of just went viral on social media and just, you know, through the culture, and has expanded to a lifestyle brand that encompasses more than just the original Detroit versus Everybody. You got Africa versus Everybody.
Fire.
You got all kinds of stuff. And we actually have the CEOs, co-CEOs.
Founders, CEO.
Founders.
Yeah. We actually just switched over Sean as CEO over the past 8 months. They transitioned.
We got to talk. They ain't do too many shows. They got to talk into the mic.
Over the past 8 months, Sean transitioned into CEO. Okay. I'm a fully over creative, and that's where we are right now.
Yeah, we never really dealt in titles. Yeah. It was just weird, but you know,
job done.
Yeah. So we was hustling, but then now, you know, in the business world, that stuff matters, I guess.
Yeah, yeah, sometimes.
Sean Xavier Williams and Tommy Walker Jr. Thank you for joining us. Appreciate it.
Thanks for having us.
You gotta give a shout out to our brother Ken.
Ken, what up, though?
For putting this together.
That's appreciate a fact, it. Man. That's Detroit hometown welcoming.
For sure.
Every time.
So all right, so you guys start. It starts as a T-shirt line, right? Detroit versus Everybody, right?
Yeah, it starts as in 2012. You just want the story?
Yeah.
So in 2012, okay, so me personally as a designer, so I started off as a graphic designer. I branded Big Sean. I worked on, I was doing like design work for Interscope, Def Jam, Jive, you know what I'm saying, when labels were big during that time. So I worked on like Wale's project, Mike Posner's project, like back to Coney Simpson project, you know what I'm saying, like, and Key Wayne, you know, so mainly anybody who came out of Detroit during that period of time I worked on that project back when MySpaces was going good, you know what I'm saying?
Damn.
So in 2012, I got flown out to California to work on a project with Interscope, and I got off of the plane and went to the hotel, and I saw our mayor, Kwame Kilpatrick. Now, at that time, it was the tail end of like a little scandal that was going on, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it was, front page news everywhere, but with it being the tail end of it, I just thought it was weird that I get off of the plane 2,200 miles away from home, and I see that when I first go to the hotel. It was odd to me, you know what I'm saying? And got done with the trip, came back home, and it was like a chip began to grow on my shoulder, because during that time, we were like, you know, me and my folks and friends and, you know, comrades during that period of time were on like the leading edge of the creative revolution, that boom that's going on in the city of Detroit right now. You know, like it was going on before it was getting promoted. Like before it got any light shined on it, it was still, while it was going on, they were talking about us being a murder capital, and you know, it was just all negative and not all negative.
Mm-hmm.
So I wanted to use my platform that I was getting, the attention I was getting, to change the narrative to the true narrative of what's going on in the city of Detroit, and that's the one that's being pushed now, you know, globally. So you know, Sean and I, we've been best friends since kindergarten. At that, we had purchased a failing screen printing company, maybe like
2011.
And just being Rhodes Scholars, we just jumped in and started printing shirts. You know, now when you first get in there, you know, you got, you know, big dreams, but you quickly find out that, you know, manufacturing on your own warehouse is very expensive. It's an expensive game. So we bumped our heads a couple of times, and we had to take a little step back and close down for a small bit. So then we closed down, took that time to like recalibrate, and that's when I took that trip. Then I came back, and I was like, man, you know, this is what we're gonna do. You know what I'm saying? I got the idea. I like to say I took the temperature of the city, you know what I'm saying, and diagnosed it, Detroit versus Everybody, you know. But the versus everybody moniker, that ideology is something that I knew would have a place in everybody's closet. Like, that was my idea. Like, you know, what can I create that'll have the same effect as like the Ralph Lauren polo, to where it's like, if I you know, I'll never not want to wear it. I just want to get a clean one, you know. And the versus everybody brand was created. So that day when I, you know, had that idea, I had took the screen print machine. I left my apartment. I went and got a loft, and I lived with the equipment. One of my mentors were like, if you live with that equipment, every day you wake up, every time you come home, it's going to be a reminder of you to get that machine running, keep that machine spinning. So I went and got a loft, and I became a roommate with that machine. And one day, man, it was just like Detroit versus everybody. And so I went, printed it up, and one of my friends, who's a rapper, he was over that night, and he was like, man, let me go perform in this. I was like, all right, for sure. Now, we still just printing up shirts. I'm like, let me go perform in this. And he took it and then called me from the show, like, man, I just gave it away. Is it cool if I give these people your number? I was like, yeah, cool. And then from that moment, it's just been a snowball effect, you know what I'm saying, of people reaching out to us.
So it was more like a rally cry, right? So
It's a battle cry.
It was a battle cry for the city.
Yeah, and it was perfect timing because, you know, like I said, like that resurgence of the city of Detroit was just beginning. You know what I'm saying?
Like Big Sean is now about to become somebody, like the guy? Or
No,
This was like after his first album.
after the first joint.
yeah, I did all of his mixtapes, did all the mixtape artworks,
Yeah.
up until the album. What year was that?
The album was like 2010-ish, 2011-ish.
So he was already making noise in the industry.
Right, and then his first concert was actually...
Oh, yeah, that was our first opportunity.
So I'm working... So all this is happening.
Yeah.
We get the screen print business, but I'm like working corporate. Like so I study economics, actuarial science. Went to work as an actuary at Blue Cross. And so we're doing this like on the side. Like I'm doing this on the side. Mm-hmm. Like I'm going to work. I got ink in my hair.
Yeah.
He's laughing at me like
Crazy time. Yeah.
And so the brand started to move, right? And so like Big Sean's first concert was like December. He let us take some merch there to sell.
Hall of Fame tour. And
we sold out at Intermission. And that's when he was like, he called me like the next day, like, Sean, you got to quit, man. You got to quit your job. Yeah. So like I put my 2-week notice in on that Monday. They walked me out that Friday because it was like, because I'm still like kind of moving around like with the business. So they're like, you just can't keep doing this. Like, you got to get out of there. So that's, after that moment, after that Big Sean concert, that's like when we really started to explode.
This is interesting because this is a similar scenario. I remember when we were doing this and Shai was like, yo, man, you got to stop. You can't go there more. You're more valuable doing this.
Yeah.
So it's interesting. You're studying economics though.
Yeah.
So, like, hey, I need to have a certain amount of money before I can do it. Or you just say, you know what, I'm watching these sales. I'm going with my gut here. I'm not even setting the goals. We're just going.
No, I went, like, it was hard. I got a family, at this time I got 2 kids. And I had good health insurance. I'm working for an insurance company. So got good health insurance. I got good benefits, all of this. And it's like, he's like, man, forget that, man. Like, let's go. Like this. And I'm like, I guess I had to make a decision. And I just did it. I'm like, I just went with my gut, trusted him. It was a lot of trust. I'm like, man, I believe in you to make it work. So there's a lot of trust
there. Feed my kids, man.
That's what
the thing is. Like, man, I recognize, like, I didn't have kids at that time. I got one daughter now, but I was like, man, like, I think we waited a little bit until we could like match. Like, he didn't like get out completely until we like matched it.
No, but it was after the Big Sean concert.
Yeah, after the Big Sean show, yeah.
And then I didn't tell my parents for like 6 months. Because my parents were like, my mom was like African. She like, you gotta be doctor, lawyer, all that. Yeah. And I didn't even do none of that. So she's still kind of disappointed that I didn't go that route. So it was like kind of hard telling them that I'm about to go do, make t-shirts.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah.
So, all right. So Big Sean wears it on stage and it blows up, right?
Well, no. We sold at his concert. It blew up.
That was the first. We were like, we were
So he didn't
in the merch.
wear it on stage.
Not at that time.
Not on that show. The next shows, He did. He's been one of our biggest supporters from the beginning.
He said it in one of his lyrics, right?
Yeah, he actually was in the song. You know, we
Everybody,
did that.
Detroit versus everybody.
Yeah. But then we had the Detroit versus Everybody song too. You remember that?
With Eminem.
Eminem, Dej Loaf, Big Sean,
Yeah.
Y'all put that
Danny
together?
Brown. Yeah.
All right, we'll talk about that in a little bit. All right, so you sell, and the demand, like, what did the demand go to, like, from selling at his show to after selling at his show?
Well, it started going crazy, right? But it was like slowly but surely picking up. Like we had to get a store because we were selling out of the loft.
We was out of loft on 4th Street.
So people
it was
just,
unsafe.
People would just come.
Pull up.
They would call us, text us, where
You just have a bunch of shirts made, and then you was just selling.
we run downstairs all day. We run up and down the steps.
How much you selling shirts for?
At that time, $30.
30.
Yeah.
Yep.
What's that?
Hoodies or just t-shirts?
Hoodies, tees,
Hoodies and tees.
Hoodies,
Yeah, but just
hoodies and
hoodies and tees
tees.
at that point.
It's just
for women and men,
hand in hand.
hand in hand.
Yeah.
And then at one point you decide that you got to get a store.
6 months in.
No, we got the store right after the concert because it's like, I think what was the store, like December 12th or something like that is when we got the store. And we had a partner of ours that just believed in us. And he was like, man, and he owned like his family owned like the Greek town.
Yeah. Christos.
And Christos. And he gave us
Shout out to Christos.
Yeah, shout out to Christos, my guy.
Are y'all figuring because you said it's $30? So like at this point, you're understanding the business of it. Like this is how much we have to sell it for to make a profit, or you just thinking like,
No, we're not thinking none of that.
this time people just like, yo, I'm gonna sell it for 30. They're not realizing how much it even costs to make it.
Well, we were doing it. We were pressing it up ourselves.
Oh, okay.
You know what I'm saying? So like because we are on the screen press machines because we had already purchased that building company. So at that time we focused on just getting it out there, just serving as many people as possible. You know what I'm saying? Making sure that our quality is good and making sure that our presence on Instagram and stuff was good. Like we had like the Detroit versus Everybody hashtag that was going on. So it was just really. It was snowballing into something that neither one of us could ever imagine.
And money's coming in, right? And we had to think about our safety. And right now, I'm still kind of in the corporate, and I'm in law school too. I'm doing weekend law classes. So that's when we started thinking about the trademark. So I'm like, man, we got to protect this. So we do that. We come out of, we do the concert, we get the store. And then one particular day, I think it was like maybe March of 2013, I get a call from like this random person. Like I'm at the store working. He's like, I like to place an order, overnight order to California. I'm like, okay, cool. So she places the order, and then she said, I need this overnighted, like tomorrow. I need this here. And I'm like, well, I don't know how much that costs. She's like, well, don't worry about it. I'll just pay whatever. Just take my number, and when you go ship it off, I'll pay you whatever. I'm like, all right, cool. So we did it. And I called him. I'm like, hey, man, I just got the random weird order. They needed a shirt overnighted to Cali. Is that something?
Oh, yeah.
So I was like, is that something that you said? I'm like, nah, because he had just came from Cali a couple months ago. So I'm like, maybe that's something he put together. So the next day, they get the shirt. The lady called me. She says, I don't know if you guys watch American Idol, but you might want to watch it tonight.
It's out the blue. Hangs
It's out the blue. And then hangs up. So I tell our other partner at the time, like, hey man, just come to the store. We're gonna watch American Idol tonight. It's probably something big. And so we get to the store, we turn on American Idol, and it was Motown week. And Keith Urban. So I sent him a white shirt. He dyed it burgundy, and he had our shirt on. And it was like,
walk out like
He's from
this.
Detroit?
No, that's all true.
Nah.
It was just
It was
Motown week, so he decided to wear to Detroit. They did like this whole Motown thing before, like lead up. He had the shirt on, and after that, like we couldn't keep up with orders.
The next week after that, then the
Colbert.
we're on the Colbert report. Who was Steven Jackson?
Yep.
Who was the editor at Detroit Free Press, word on the Colbert Report, and it just snowballed to where it's like it's something that visitors wanted to have to show that they've been in Detroit, and then travelers wanted to show that they from Detroit. You know what I'm saying?
So did you ever think about? All right, so they just Googled Detroit versus Everybody, and your website came up, right?
Cool.
Like when you said that Keith Urban wore it, he didn't tell where he got it from. Like,
no,
he would have to search to know.
Yeah.
They Google Detroit versus Everybody, and then your guys' website or Instagram page came up, right?
Yeah.
Did you trademark it at this point?
So that's when I'm working. So I'm in, like I said, I'm in law school at the time. And I talked to one of my professors about doing it, and they said, like, that's simple. Like, I can show you how to do it. So sat me down, showed me the USPTO site, and made me an expert at it. Because it's just a matter of putting it in. So I did it. I did our first 2 trademarks, like versus everybody, Detroit versus everybody.
So you trademarked Detroit versus everybody.
And versus everybody.
And versus everybody.
Versus everybody, that's a little bit more complicated, right? Because that leads to anything to be versus everybody.
Right.
Yeah. That was an easy trademark versus everybody?
I mean, yeah. Like, they went through, and it's just a matter of having your specimens and all that stuff, like the application type.
So the specimens is like you got to have proof that you actually use it.
That you're using it in commerce.
With the tag on it.
Tags, registered trademarks.
And there's a few times. But this is the interesting part, because when you do something so wide scale, it usually becomes expensive. Was it pricey to get? I know Detroit versus everybody is very specific, but the versus anybody could be pretty much universal. Anything versus everybody really is yours. So was it pricier to do that one?
It's pricey, not up front, but it's pricey on the back end, fighting all the cease and desist. So our legal fees, and that's why when we do anything licensing, like we do like a versus everybody for somebody, like we can't do it for free, because there's going to be a lot of like legal stuff, paperwork, and dealing with my lawyers that's going to go with that. So on the back end, it's very expensive.
Time consuming, expensive, you know what I'm saying, frustrating.
So when you guys put Detroit versus everybody, were there other people that started making Detroit versus everybody shirts?
Yeah.
Yes.
That happens daily.
Yes.
Like,
Like, what you learn is that it's a whole like industry of people that stand on the outskirts looking at what's about to happen.
yeah, those domain buyers, like, I'm
just
gonna buy a
stay,
domain, you know, those guys, like, they sit there and they do this on purpose.
So
That's what they
talk about-
do.
Talk about how you guys dealt with that.
It's so now, I mean, it's annoying, but I kind of settled in with it's like, I mean, at the end of the day, it's getting the message out there, right? And then sometimes they even turn into opportunities. Like, we had a situation with the USA soccer, women's soccer. 2 of the players did a USA versus everybody, and they were selling crazy. So we went to them, like, you say, look, this is our brand, this is our IP. We're not coming after you, but like, let's just settle out on a deal. So we settled with them, and they paid us out. And then we just let them keep going, and they gave us a royalty. So sometimes you get opportunities like that, like even with the NBA. It happened a couple times. Like they did a know your versus everybody.
Yeah.
We didn't sue them. We just said, let's just settle. Like, pay us out, and then give to like a charity.
And that's the thing, is like, if you you know, if they have a big name, or, you know, they're like a team that they can't run, then it's a lot easier and it's more successful on the end with a payout. But it's like, it's the, you know, the people that's selling out their trunk, they're the ones who are like the half, so they're just like, it's just tough. They don't care.
Go find them.
And they know that, you know what I'm saying? They'll build their whole life around that. Like, this one guy, you know, I opened up email, and he's like, man, hey man, listen, I know this is wrong, but man, you know what I'm saying? Like, I know this is wrong, man, but I just appreciate you, man. Y'all helped me get my daughter through preschool, man. Like, through private school. And it's like, I don't know how to feel about that. You know, like, is it honorable for you to tell us that you know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, am I grateful to the Most High that I was able to help a child get through private school, you know, because at the end of the day, that's our funds. But it's just a dirty game. That's what you realize, is that it's dirty, and you got to fight it whether or not you want to or not.
How much money do you spend on legal fees?
It all depends on like what's happening. Like, we've been kind of dormant the past, I would say, 2 years, but at our peak, man, we're probably spending like at least, on top of the retainer, like at least $15K a month.
A month?
Yeah, because I'm looking at it, it's like, this is crazy. Like, we're paying, like, and the lawyer, he's happy because but
it eats itself up. Yeah.
I ain't gonna front, like, I wore this shirt that you have on in Africa, and we went to Jamestown. We were touring, and we went to this art district, and this dude.
You met my guy. That's my guy, Rashid.
Yeah. He told you?
No, I saw. So he posted it. Okay. Rashid's my guy. When every time I go to Ghana, I go to Africa a lot, right?
Okay.
Rashid's my guy. I met him in the art district and gave him and his guys some shirts. I'll show you the picture later.
Yes.
And now he calls me like, Sean, because we were supposed to do some events. So he posted on his WhatsApp.
Okay.
And I had just given you guys the shirts, and I'm like,
yeah,
how do you know that guy? I sent him a picture and everything. I'm like, how do you know? He's like, yeah, man. I thought about you, and I wore it. And
It's crazy. So that day I wore it, and he took the picture and obviously sent it to you. But it made me think, like, internationally, obviously you're fighting this domestically, but like when you're trademarking, because even in business, most people don't know that, right? They think that they trademark it and I own this forever. But like, yeah,
It's a fight.
it's a fight domestically, but then you got to do it country by country too. So like, how's that process been? Obviously, now that I see, this is Africa versus everybody.
so the trick is we have an international trademark, right? For like e-commerce, right? So we can sell, we own the brand, like no one can sell it online, we can shut them down. But when you go into different territories or different spaces or different like countries, you have to assign it if you're selling there. So I've been going, like, as I've been moving around, I've been assigning a trademark. So I've signed it in Liberia. I did it in Ghana. I'm in the process of doing it in Nigeria and South Africa. So that's important, but really the main territories that you need to be protected in is like the UK, US, and the EU. Because that's where like most...
I'm about to say China. A lot of counterfeit.
You can't really fight that. You know?
What you do is, like, what you find out though is that if you can show that you have prior usage in any of these areas, if you can show that you have prior usage in any of these different areas, then you pretty much won the battle.
Yeah, and then like we're talking about some deal in Dubai right now, and I asked the lawyer, like, so what about the trademark? She's like, well, as long as you get a business registration here, you don't have to worry about that, because they govern their trademarks and stuff a tad bit differently. So what I've learned as I've even been going and signing, I'm like, as long as I focus on US, EU, UK, and make sure that's tight, everything else will fall in line.
So, okay, so you have Detroit versus everybody, but what made you have the foresight to do just versus everybody? Because versus everybody is going to be a much more broad range situation as opposed to Detroit versus everybody. So whose foresight was that to trademark or even envision versus everybody just in general?
It was his.
That was like, creatively, I always want to do things that have legs, like, you know what I mean? Like, one of my favorite shows is like Seinfeld, and it's crazy to me that it's like a show about nothing, you know, but it's like, it's seriously, it's an amazing show. So I just really, before I like brainstorm, I'm like, okay, I want to have a place in everybody's closet, you know what I'm saying? No matter the age, I want it to be something that doesn't get stale, you know what I'm saying? I want something that is reborn every year, you know, and it's like our brand is, you know, even outside of fashion or just, you know, fresh shit, it's a battle cry for any sports team, you know what I'm saying, for any company in any industry. I've never seen a brand, you know what I mean, that has access to as many different industries as we do. And yeah, I just knew from the jump, like, okay, if we can get this foundation with Detroit, then people are going to look from the outside in and be drawn to that you know, message, because it's pretty much just the underdog message that everybody, there's a moment in your life in which you're going to feel like you versus everybody. You know what I'm saying?
There's like a few moments just in culture where you think about there's a slogan for resilience.
Yes.
Like versus everybody is definitely one. I feel like not like us right now is one of those. We gonna be all right. It's one of those ones. I saw it at the draft. The draft was in Detroit.
Yeah.
I'm seeing the t-shirts everywhere. And I'm thinking about myself, how do you approach partnerships, right? Obviously, there's some that just fall into your hands because of trademark issues, but how do y'all approach partners? Like if the Knicks go crazy and it's like now, you know, it's New York versus everybody. Like how do you guys go about that?
So I'm gonna use U of M, Michigan, University of Michigan.
Oh yeah, that's hard.
You went to Michigan State, right?
I'm in the Michigan State. Go green.
Yeah.
Go green.
Okay. I just want you to say that before you said that.
Yeah. So we did U of M, right? So we started maybe about 2 years ago. A guy by the name of Jared Wangler, he works with the Valiant Group. He used to play football for U of M, and he started this marketing firm. And he wanted, this was when NIL first started getting traction. He's like, man, we should do we have the Michigan license. Let's do a Michigan versus everybody and then give some of the proceeds back to the athletes. So we started, like, we played around with it a little bit, and it was hitting. So we stopped it because, like, it was kind of hard for us to police it. And we had a lot of action at that time. Like we were going into the deal with Gucci. So we did a deal with Gucci, like the Gucci brand. And so we kind of pivoted from that because like we got to focus on this Gucci stuff. Like we put a lot of,
See the hat?
yeah. So we put a lot of energy into that because I'm like, this is like a partnership that could really help us in the future. So we stopped the U of M play. But then this year, end of last year, Jim Harbaugh went through that scandal. He got suspended for like 6 games. And so Jared called me like, Sean, we gotta do this Michigan versus everybody. And I'm like, all right, well, we just gotta make it make sense. But let's. So we talked for like 3 days, and then like the game was coming. I think it was like the first game. I want to say it was the Penn State game. Mm-hmm. He's like, look, let's just do a short-term deal, get it out there. So like, we did it, and it went crazy. So in that situation, to answer your question, like how we approach the partnerships, like we usually come at it from, we'll do like a licensing like payout, like a licensing fee. Mm-hmm. Sometimes companies don't want to pay it up front, and we do that because like we have to pay like the legal fees. We got to go like, and we just want to make sure we're protected and that the brand is just not out to misrepresent it. So usually we start with like a licensing fee, but sometimes we settle like with profit sharing, or we'll do like in-kind part. Like right now we're doing in-kind partnership with Afro Nation, where we're just exchanging IPs and using it for visibility. So that's like how we attack most of them. But at the core of it is just with doing like a licensing fee.
So, what's more profitable for you guys now? The versus everybody licensing fee or Detroit versus everybody?
It depends on the season. So like if it's Q4 and we're talking Christmas time, like Black Friday, it's the Detroit versus everybody, because everybody's filling up their stockings and buying all the gifts. Like people, like the sales are crazy. But then when it's like sports season, it's the licensing, like, cause that's the thing. Like, so it's like I'm constantly fighting the battle of like, are we doing licensing? He's getting mad at me like, Sean, we just can't do it versus everybody. And I'm like, well, we can, because and so it's about to get real interesting because we just got a store in DTW Airport. Mm-hmm. So a couple of days ago, actually, Eastside Golf, they were like in the same package as us. So we're doing a store in the DTW store in the Centerlink. So I don't know if you guys are familiar with the Detroit.
But the merch was in the airport.
It's in there. Yeah. It's there, but no, we're getting our own store now.
Okay, yeah, because I've been in the airport. Yeah. This is crazy. Shout out to Ken. My flight got reconnected. I had to go to Detroit, and it was chilly. Mm-hmm. And I was like, damn, I don't got no. We were packing to go to Cancun. Yeah. So I actually ended up buying it inside the airport. So y'all licensed it to that store inside the airport.
Yeah. But now we got our own brand.
Now we got our own store. So it's about to get interesting because that's gonna be a space where people can come for sure, buy the merch, but we've made it an interactive store. So like we'll be promoting our different versus everybody's, and that place has that airport, it's like 30 million people that go. I don't know. That's what they told me. It's like 30 million people that go in that airport yearly. Mm-hmm. So it's going to really open the brand up because you've seen it. Like that's like the first thing you're going to see when you're going into Detroit, right? You're going to see our brand right here next. I think they're building right now. So our store's going to be like when you're walking in to Detroit or leaving out of the airport, it's on the left side and it's right next to Starbucks. So it's like the first thing you're going to see.
So even when you get off the train, you got to walk past.
You got to see this, right? So
coming or going.
Right. So that it's going to get interesting because we're going to get a lot of like traction on the versus everybody side and also on the Detroit versus everybody side.
So how do you track, like, let's say the licensing, let's say you do 15% or 20% or whatever, right? How do you track that though? That's
what I'm saying. That's why you got to you have to, that's why the Michigan deal like doesn't go that far, because it's hard to police it. Like once they say they want to start doing their production, now I'm hunting them down for
receipts,
all that. Depends on the integrity of the partner. You know what I'm saying? Like
it's easy as a SKU, like we can track a SKU.
Yeah, so it's not that simple. So that's why we like to keep it internal, right? So we were doing production before. We like to make sure we're controlling it, but then that's why I'm always balanced. Like, well, I want to control it, but I still want to get the brand. I still want to get that, that payout.
Yeah.
So it's like I'm constantly battling.
Is it a thing where it's like okay, I'll let you use it, but I gotta have access to the Stripe, and we're gonna manage it on the back end so I can see deliverables and stuff like that.
In situations where we have like pop-up shops and stuff like that, we'll handle it like that. But like, if we're doing like a deal with like the NFL or the airport, you know what I'm saying? Just somebody who already has their infrastructure or manufacturing together is not that simple. We kind of got to go like off of their integrity in ways.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's why you don't do as many.
That's why we
Because
don't.
it's tougher to track.
Yeah.
So, but how did you? I mean, the Gucci collaboration is a pretty big one. How did
Yeah,
that come
Gucci, they're
about?
great partners too.
Yeah.
to this
How did
day.
that work?
Well, so they contacted us. This was like, I would say 2019, 20, and they were coming to the city. They have a store now, so they were bringing like a store to the city. So they were pretty much just checking out the scene, tapping in with the different local brands, and our brand just stuck out to them. And so
It was Antoine Phillips, who was our rep, who connected us.
yep,
He said that he came to the city and he was looking for a brand to work with because at that time again they were coming off of the
The race.
it was about 3 months after that, you know what I'm saying? So I met, and it was diversity and inclusion. That was the time of that. So he came to our store and he said, man, when I walked in the store, that I knew that this was the brand that we needed to collaborate with, and it's like my main thing when I was communicating with Antoine was like, hey, this can't be a project in which it is just a one-off, a one and done. You have to set us up for success. You're not gonna, you can't come in here as a brand, as the OG brand, and use us to manipulate the public for y'all benefit. You know what I'm saying? And before he even came to us, he knew that. Like that's, it's like the interaction that we had with Gucci was not like anybody would have assumed. Like they really care.
yeah. And they about their business too, and they showed. It's like the bigger brands, they show you the respect that you're supposed to have, and then you start dealing with the people like,
And it's like, what the fuck?
and it's like
What you
they
doing?
don't want to pay you. They want to like, it's like, but then Gucci, man, they took us. We went to the spring summer fashion show,
Yep.
flew us out,
Online.
like,
Kept us doing it every 2 weeks. Took us to the Gucci hub.
yeah,
At that time, it was Alessandro Michele was the creative director. We got to sit with him for a couple of days. We had hands-on. We were hands-on with our manufacturing, with the model picking. It was just like they really didn't try to take over the brand.
So it's the Gucci versus everybody, right?
Yeah, we did 12 markets with them. We did Gucci versus everybody. We did Toronto versus everybody, Detroit, LA, Miami, New York,
New Orleans,
Yeah.
San Francisco.
Yep. It was 12 of them.
That was 10.
All right.
Is that still? Are they still doing that?
No, those sold out.
Those, yeah. So we did.
Oh, it was limited.
It was limited, very limited. Like even I heard a story like Mariah Carey was trying to get some New York shirts. She didn't even get them. So it's like,
So are y'all still working with Gucci?
Yeah.
In what capacity?
Well, right now they have they just created so they got a installation at like the Siren Hotel in Detroit, Michigan. So right now we're in the process of figuring out our next collaboration, our next release.
What was part of the first capsule? Like I see the hat. It was the
We did
t-shirt.
the
too?
hat.
no, we did the T-shirts in the first
For
capsule.
the t-shirts, it was like the Gucci.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
that was the first.
that was the first
This
year.
is the second drop.
This the second drop. We did hats.
And
So we
you
did
got the
luggage.
bag, yeah.
We did backpack, duffel bag, and a fanny pack.
Yeah.
Oh, fire.
So what was the feedback? Because I know that it was a lot of it's controversial on social media when you guys worked with Gucci, and they felt like Gucci was, trying to just appease black people. It wasn't sincere. Then people might have thought that you guys sold out. So what was that feedback from the audience?
It was all love. I mean, of course, you saw the, but you expect it. You know
Yeah, I
what I'm
mean,
saying?
I call it, just the hate. I mean, you see that, but I think for the most part, just who we represent as people, like, because people know it. Like, you can come to Detroit, and you know, if you're from Detroit, you can touch us. Like, we're accessible, right? Like, our store is right in the heart of the city. You'll see me or him. People can call us. Like, we never left our people behind, right? So we always collabing, always doing things with people in the city. So for the most part, I mean, everybody loved it. Like, everybody, it was more so like, man, they're mad at us. Like, why can't we get a shirt? Mm-hmm. I'm like, I can't control the production on it, but like, it was more so that as opposed to like us selling out.
How much does that relationship open the door for other relationships inside of big fashion houses? Have other brands approached you like after the success of this capsule, or as Gucci said, look, I know we did limited, let's expand a little bit more? Has it increased the relationship that you have with them?
Yeah, we kind of like married in with the Gucci family. Even, you know, with the moves that they make in Detroit, they running past us, you know what I'm saying? But as for like collaborations, you know, with other brands in the city, we like to use our platform to do that, and like have our store, you know, we let them use our store to, you know, promote and sell items and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. But
sort of activations.
Yep.
So okay, so talk about the song.
The song was okay. So the Detroit versus Everybody song. What happened was Paul Rosenberg gave me a call and told me that he was interested in doing a song with Eminem, and then he ran these different artists, the rest of the artists past me, which were Royce the 5'9", Dej Loaf, Big Sean, Danny Brown, and asked us if we wanted to, you know, we put him in contact with our lawyer, Joe, and then he wanted us to see if we could get a collaboration, I mean, a cameo in the video.
So they couldn't use Detroit versus Everybody on a song without...
At that time, they could have. They could have, but they just out of respect.
But out of respect, but also we did a collab with, so we did Shady versus Everybody.
Yeah. Prior
to that, so we did like a Shady versus Everybody on like what was it? I think it was Black Friday, mm-hmm. and we sold out in like an hour, and it was like, this is crazy.
We kind of had a rapport.
Yeah, we had a rapport.
Because I had worked on the Eminem and Rihanna project too earlier.
Yep, and then we did the Monster tour. I think we did some more Shady versus Everybody's, and we sold them at Comerica Park when they came to this leg. Mm-hmm. So we already had some traction with them, and then that just made sense at the time. Eminem was coming out with his album, and he wanted to do that dedication song. So they came to us and like, look, can we do this? And then they negotiated. And then, you know, Tommy, I think you and Will had a cameo.
We had a cameo in there, yeah.
That's dope.
So how'd that help sales?
It was like, it wasn't like you just saw immediate impact, but now it's just like, oh man, you guys are on the Detroit. Like, so you hear, so cause like a lot of, it kind of pulled us into a whole different demographic.
Recognition, you know, It was like, you know, it made socially, you know what I'm saying? It was like a really huge step for us as a brand, just, you know, just with just covering ground.
Yeah. This is important because we've seen this happen, especially businesses in our community, and even people who've come on the show is like, sometimes they scale too fast. Mm. And so after the American Idol moment, after the Sean moment, first you get the store, but you're not pressing the t-shirts out your house anymore, right? Like out the loft. Like at what point do we realize we're scaling and we got to catch up to this?
So we had purchased the failing screen printing business, so we had one machine. So, but as now twofold at the same time, we were also manufacturing. We was also focusing on like a manufacturing company. We had this manufacturing company, Sluky Printing, in which we were printing for other people in the city. So that leg of the business was growing at the same time, and DVE was allowing us to fund that and by hiring up more screen printers. Mm-hmm. So at that time, we might have had like three manual machines at that time as we worked towards our automatic press. Yeah. and we were handling ourselves while Sean was out making deals with other manufacturers. Just, you know, because it's hard to find a manufacturer that you like. You know what I'm saying? So we were trying different people out, and, you know, letting them do fulfillment and for online sales and stuff like that as we maintained our quality, you know, in house.
We are doing manufacturing domestically.
Yeah. So we ended up getting, so we got this other store. At some point we had like at one point we had like 7 stores. So in one of our stores, we actually had a manufacturing presence there.
Okay.
And then as we started to, like, things started to move, like the partnership started to happen like crazy.
B2B.
Like, yeah, the B2B. So, and then those orders are bigger, you know, than the, you know, just normal like 200s. Like sometimes we're getting like 5,000, 10,000 shirt orders, and you got to knock those out. And you can't, like Mr. Allen's, like there was like this local brand or local like sports company. So they have like 15 doors. So they'll come in, and it's like one of my biggest invoices I've seen ever. Like the first one, they came in.
You know, they feel like they just found us first. So they want to make sure that, hey, everybody, y'all can get us. They were trying to, you know, forget about their store. You know what I'm saying? Like, come to us. You know what I'm saying?
Man, they placed an order for like, what, 5,000 pieces first order? And I'm like, this is a $100,000 invoice. So trying to print that in the store where you got it's all cluttered, like, nah. So we end up, after that situation, we ended up getting a warehouse that was like right on the cusp of Detroit. I think it was like 8,000 square feet, 10,000, 8 to 10,000 square. Well, it was like 2,000 for like office space, and then 8,000 for like the actual warehouse. So we ended up getting that, and then bought an automatic press.
Change a lot.
Expensive.
Change a lot.
Oh yeah, it was expensive, but and that's when I realized, like, man, the cost of production is crazy. Like, we're spending like for the rent, we're like 4,000, and it's like 2,500 for the electric bill and the gas, and then you're paying for your employees, and you're paying for the merch.
And DVE take off so much till we not focused on printing the rest of the other customers. We can't, you know, it's like we can't handle you guys. We had to handle ours, so that other income wasn't coming in. It was just completely us going out.
So how quickly was it profitable right away?
I mean, yeah, we never came out of profit, really. I mean, we always stayed ahead of that. Like, we used to pride ourselves on saying, like, man, we don't really have that much debt. Like, we've acquired some over time just because of like COVID kind of set us back. Because but prior to COVID, we was like I said, we had 7.
It was impressive.
7 stores, and we shut down. We actually shut down 6 of our stores going into the Gucci deal, and this was like right at the top of 2020, right before COVID, and we caught a lot of flack for it. Like, we was in the news, like they were bashing him in the news, like we had 75 employees, like we cut down to like 15 like employees on TV, like, yeah, they did us dirty. And
it was crazy.
And so COVID happens, and they're like, we look like geniuses.
But y'all knew what's coming already, man. Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
But then COVID happens, and then it kind of slowed our traction up. Like, I was scared to, like, I'm in the warehouse by myself, still pushing out orders, trying to make ends meet, make sure we can keep our, you know, because I don't know, like, we didn't know that there was going to be like a moratorium. This is like right at the top of COVID.
And then we did the COVID.
Oh, and then what saved us was everybody versus COVID-19. Like,
They switched it.
So we switched it up. We did the everybody versus COVID-19 in partnership with the city of Detroit.
Let's talk about that, because we got a whole nother leg that we have, like our philanthropic leg. So it's like we have everybody versus COVID-19. We launched it with everybody versus injustice. You know,
it's political unrest. And it just happened.
So
George Floyd happens already.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
So every time, like, so we also trademark everybody versus. And so we would use everybody versus for like any social campaigns.
Everybody versus cancer, everybody versus heart disease, everybody versus arthritis. Like, that's another leg for us to work with.
And so we did that during COVID, everybody versus COVID-19, man. Like, and we did mask.
Crazy.
That, it was like, man, okay, this is what's gonna keep us going during COVID. So that we rode that wave for like, I'll say 8 months.
We did a concert with we had like 50 artists in Detroit.
Yep, a digital
online concert that was powered by the city of Detroit. You know what I'm saying? Promoting the Everybody versus COVID-19 project.
So, okay. So as far as the future plans for the brand, is it always going to be versus, or is it going to be something where the versus is not even in,
well,
certain point?
So the way we're building it now, it's like 3 components. So we got Detroit versus everybody, right? Which is, I like to say it's his baby, right? Because he has this whole, he's been in this like inventive capsule for the past 3 years of how he wants to tell the story of Detroit versus everybody. Because you had a point, like, how can we keep up with the business? We never was able to really tell our story or what the brand, like everybody else was just taking it and saying what it was and what they wanted it to be. So now he's kind of taking a step back. Like after Gucci, he was like, look, after this, we got to put our best foot forward. So he's taking a step back and he wants to tell Detroit's story. Right. And so he's working on that. And then I'm working on, everything wholesale licensing. And then there's this other component of where we have, like, I would say goodwill. Right. And the reason why I call it goodwill is because it's just like this gray area of business that needs to get captured, right? So of course we got our licensing and our wholesale, but there's so many other worlds out there. So like you have the everybody versus, right? Like, and that's nonprofit world, but we're not a nonprofit. So you have everybody versus. Then you have what I'm doing in Africa. Like Africa is not a place to where I can go and wholesale t-shirts. Like it just doesn't make sense financially. I can't go there and do a licensing deal. Like, I think you guys posted something the other day. I was looking and said $100 million of revenue was made in Afrobeats, but only 2% of that revenue went back to the continent. There's another stat, because I travel a lot. I went to this business conference in South Africa last year. They said 90% of the revenue made off the resources in Africa leave out. Only 3% comes back in. So it's the same deal. So that's why I'm looking at this whole space here, like Africa versus everybody, all the other versus everybody. We want to use the brand as a platform to help, to assist. Even though we're not a nonprofit, our partner Jeffrey Aronson, he always says we're a double bottom line business. Okay, we're for profit, but we're also for the people. So we're using that goodwill space as our vehicle to help. And that's the space, like, ultimately where I think the brand is going to live. Like, of course we can, Detroit versus everybody's cool. That's our bread and butter. For me, that's like the culture.
That's what we want every year too. Right. Sports, any sport.
Right.
Every sport.
Versus everybody, that's there to make the money and the licensing and sustain the brand. Yeah. But then you have this other piece where, like, we really want to help. Like, we have a voice, we have a platform to really help to put it all in.
It's interesting because as you guys were saying, like, obviously we know the Africa or whatever verse everybody, but the everybody verse, even from a health initiative, and I'm not sure if you guys are doing it, but like every month is something. Right? So like as I'm thinking, like October is breast cancer, so like
we did that. Everybody
versus diabetes, everybody versus autism, changing the colors of the shirts. Is that like part of the business plan too? Like every month there is a health.
We've done it. We just haven't went full scale with it, but we've done it. We've had a partnership with American Cancer Society.
Right.
We've done heart disease. We just did something with who was it? African American Wellness Foundation. So they're based out of Columbus, but we did actually wellness for everybody. So like we play around with the different for everybody's. Like
we also have Everybody Loves as well.
Yeah, Everybody Loves. So we did Everybody Loves Cannabis. We did Everybody Loves
that too.
Yeah. So we did Everybody Loves R&B. We did that the other. That was like an R&B
festival.
Yeah.
So how many trademarks do you have on that? You got the versus, everybody versus.
Yeah. Detroit versus everybody.
Everybody loves
versus everybody for everybody. And then we play around with different classes throughout those.
Yeah. So like classes meaning like media.
Well, like you got hard goods, you got t-shirts, you got leather goods. Like I think it's like 50 different classes. And then you got services, and so we're about to really dab into like the services, because like the class 35 and 41, that's like, for me, that's the next progression, especially doing the African stuff, because that's going to get the message out, right? Live events. So that's why I kind of focus on partnerships with these African festivals. So like Afro Future, Afro Nation, like. So
talk about that. What's the partnerships that you have with those?
So we've done the first festival we partnered with was Afro Cella, now it's Afro Future. Shout out to Abdul. He gave us the opportunity to use the brand, to bring the brand to the Afro Cella. I think this was 2022, and we sold merch, and we sold merch there, and we did an Afro Cella versus everybody shirt. So that was like the way, because I'm like, for me to even make Africa make sense, I gotta it has to be visible. And that was like the only way to make it visible. And then I caught wind of Afro Nation, and I started moving around with them too. And so for me, it was just like passing out merch. And then so we did Afro Nation Miami. We took I'm a Piano versus everybody and Africa versus everybody.
So that they gave us those shirts actually in Grammy weekend.
Yep. So that, so I think Vito gave you one of the shirts. But yeah, we actually trademarked I'm a Piano, the word I'm a Piano. So we
trademarked that word?
Yeah, so we own.
So you own the word?
Yeah.
So how does that work?
We don't know yet, but we're
gonna figure this out.
We trademarked the word
In
because
South Africa?
we trademarked it here in the U.S.
In America.
Yeah. And so so we have this brand it wasn't more so of a business decision. It was like when we went to South Africa, we saw that I'm listening to this music, but it's like it's not Afrobeat. So a lot of people don't know the difference between Afrobeats and I'm a Piano. And so, but it gets absorbed. I'm a Piano gets absorbed in Afrobeats. So we saw it as an opportunity to showcase these I'm a Piano acts. And so we built like a site, like we did the trademark. We built the site I'm a Piano versus everybody. And so this site is supposed to showcase like the I'm a Piano acts in that whole world.
That's fine. How often, that's something we have to learn too. How often do you have to renew your trademarks?
It's every 5 years you have to like do some maintenance on it.
Each one?
Yeah, each one, yeah.
Okay.
And you guys gonna be at Invest Fest?
Oh yeah, for sure.
What's that about?
So we're coming to Invest Fest. We have a vending situation, but we don't want to focus just on merchandise. We want to focus on like our different experiences. Because I mean, honestly, that's what Invest Fest, to me, that's what Invest Fest is. It's like, it's not just me selling to a consumer. It's not direct to consumer. I'm actually talking to other businesses, other individuals, investors, angel investors that might want to help push the play. So that experience is going to be mainly showing like what we're doing with Versus Everybody and Africa Versus Everybody and how we're building those experiences up.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. We got a package. I saw the Invest versus Everybody. Appreciate that.
Yeah, no worries.
EYL versus Everybody. Appreciate that. So how are you finding that, obviously corporations, but our entrepreneurs, this is a new journey, a new endeavor, especially in our community where we're seeing a lot of entrepreneurs and small businesses. Have they reached out to you too? Is that something that you guys are interested in?
Reach out to us in terms of
like having their brand versus everybody and maybe licensing from the small business aspect.
Yeah. And that's like that's like like I said, remember I said earlier, like the big business, like they'll pay out, right? Yeah. They understand.
The headache of it.
Right. But like the small businesses, it's really hard to deal in that world sometimes because they don't understand that they have to pay. Like I'll tell them, I won't say who the business is, but they'll contact us and they'll say, well, we want to do this versus everybody. And I'll say, well, there's a licensing fee with that. And I give them a license fee like, well, why would I'm not going to pay that. Why would I pay that? But then they still want to use it. It's like, well, okay, let's talk. So then we start negotiating, and sometimes it's just more times than not, it doesn't work out because they just don't understand that, you have to pay our price. And so this one guy, he was even like, well, I looked at you guys' valuation online and it just didn't match. And it's like, well, that's something totally, like, you're not acquiring equity here. Like, you're buying a service from us. So it's like really what we make the price. And I'm just not throwing this price out of nowhere, like there's a reason why we have to do it like this. And so they don't really understand it. So sometimes we let it ride. Like if we want the relationship, or sometimes it's like bartering. Like, we'll let you do this if you do this for us. So
how much is your license fee?
We start at $50K. And then we either work our way up depending on what the scope of the project, or we work our way down. And then that's when we just explore other options.
Yeah, you said the valuation. So you said it's been profitable. How's revenue been post the pandemic? Right, you took a hit in the middle of the pandemic. I
mean, we're just not getting our bones back for real. Last year was tough because we actually lost our store. Our store collapsed.
Yeah,
it collapsed.
Yeah,
structurally,
yeah.
Yeah,
the wall fell.
So that we took a big hit with that. But then we actually our partner now with our current store, Olympia Development.
Shout out to Olympia.
So they're like a part of Illich Holdings that owns like Little Caesars brand, Little Caesars Arena, the Tigers, Red Wings. They actually partnered with us, and our store now is in the district of Detroit. So prime real estate. So now we're starting to get our bones back. And things are like, this year is probably going to be one of the most profitable years we've ever had. So things are looking up, but I would say COVID to like 2022, 23. It was, we got to make this work. So
Yeah, return.
That's a story for everybody. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, we appreciate y'all guys for coming in, man. Very insightful conversation. How can they tap in? Like, what's the socials? What's the website and all that?
You can catch me at Tommy Walker at TOMMEY Walker on Instagram, and Detroit versus Everybody LLC on Instagram as well.
yeah, you can find me Sean SEANX Williams I, and then also Africa versus Everybody LLC. And I just want to shout out our other partner, Mark Russ.
Shout out to Mark.
Yeah, Mark is supposed to be here today. He came on as our CFO, and then now he's morphed into like our VP of branding and marketing. So just wanted to shout him out. But yeah, that's where you can find us at. Yeah.
Yeah, when y'all have the store up and running, like it's back.
Oh, it's back.
Yeah, it's back.
Do y'all have pictures in there?
Yeah.
I want to make sure that our pictures up there.
Yeah. We got pictures in there.
I'm gonna show you the one.
Man, actually, y'all invited out, man. If y'all got time, we're doing a block party leading into Afro Nation on August 16th. So we're doing a block party, and we're doing a panel discussion at the store.
At the store?
Yeah.
All right, I'm gonna bring the picture with me.
All right.
Shout out to Detroit.
Yeah.
Man, thank you guys for rocking with us. We'll see you next week. Peace.
Peace.
Sir.